Hi and welcome to Idemeum application allow listing demo. Instead of blocking everything that's bad in your environment, you explicitly allow what needs to run. So in simple terms, you only allow apps that you trust. For instance, on this workstation, we have Idemeum agent installed and it's operating in allow listing mode. If I try to launch Chrome browser, this application launches and it doesn't have any issues. However, if I want to install Brave browser or launch this application is not allowed by IT. If I want to allow this application, I can simply navigate to Rules page for my Idemeum tenant and choose the catalog rule. All it takes is to click a button for Brave and allow this application. We're constantly updating rules that we add to our catalog. Now, if I go and launch Brave browser, I don't have any issues because now this application is trusted. Out of the box, Idemeum agent allows operating system OS binaries so that we're not interrupting normal OS operations and we're not interrupting updates. So your users can update operating system normally and use standard functions normally. However, we also realized that attackers might be abusing and using some Microsoft native tools as their attacking tools. So that's why we rely on certain projects like living off the land binaries and block certain Microsoft executables that can be abused, such as CMD, Bash, WinDebugger, WMI console, and more. For instance, if I try to launch CMD on this machine, even though if it's a legitimate Microsoft signed executable, it is still going to be blocked. If your users need these tools, you can always create rules and allow these applications. Idemeum also allows you to control child process execution. If you trust an application, such as Adobe, for instance, or Google or Zoom, you don't have to track every single DLL or every single executable that this application is launching. Idemeum can automatically handle that for you. However, if you don't explicitly trust certain applications, you can control child process execution. For instance, right now we have a rule in the system for Notepad. If I look at this rule, as you can see, this application is not allowed to execute any child processes. So on this machine, I can launch Notepad and I can open any text files normally. But if I try to abuse this system and I go to Open Dialog and I choose All Files, go to System 32 and search for CMD. If I try to launch this application right now from Notepad, this application is obviously blocked, because you're not allowing this application to execute child processes. What is more, allow listing is tightly integrated with our elevation control product, which means we're combining allow listing and endpoint privilege management product in one. For instance, if I try to launch Task Manager on this machine, I'm not allowed to. First of all, this application is not explicitly allowed to run, and second, this application requires admin privileges, which I don't have, and that's why elevation is also blocked. If I want to allow this application, I can go and allow Task Manager here. So with the click of a button. So if I search for this rule right now, and I added this rule, as you can see, we are allowing execution with child processes, and we're also allowing this application to automatically elevate without user needing to enter any admin credentials. So if I go and I launch Task Manager right now, as you can see, not only this application launches, but it's also auto-elevated so users don't need to enter any admin credentials. All of this information is propagated and uploaded near real time to our cloud, so you can easily see what applications are used and being launched. There are no duplicates here. We clean up all the information and present you in a very clean way. So for instance, this Task Manager was executed just now. You can immediately see that it's a verified publisher, all the metadata information. But what is more, you can clearly see what rule is matching for execution and elevation. You can always go back and clearly see why things are being blocked or allowed in your environment. For instance, if I go here, I don't have any rule for Notion, and as you can see, it's blocked by default deny rule, and it's not allowed to elevate. If you want to create a rule for this application, you can do this right from the event. You can create a local or global rule, match the application using certain attributes, certificate elements or file metadata. You can define the execution mode and also how you want this application to elevate. What is more, you can also control Windows Store applications on this machine. For instance, if I launch Windows Store, this application is allowed by default. So users can browse and install certain approved applications. However, if I want to launch Windows Debugger, as an example, for some reason on this machine, this application is not explicitly trusted. That's why this application is not allowed on the machine. So in summary, you can also control what applications your users can be using from the Windows App Store. Not just directly installing them as executables, but also controlling what they can pull from the App Store. Deploying Idemeum is very simple. You just grab a command for an agent, Windows or macOS, push this out on your machine with the tool of your choice, RMM, MDM with a ton of integration guides. Once the machine registers and installs, you can put it into application control mode. You can choose audit to learn the applications but not enforce any rules, or you can put it into rules mode where it will start enforcing rules that you create. If you want to learn more, navigate to idemeum.com or reach out to us. Thank you.